Burn, witch, burn. Written by Abraham Merritt. Narrated by Edward E. French. Chapter 15. End of the Witch Girl. The girl made no resistance whatever. She seemed entirely withdrawn within herself, looking up at me with the same vague stare I had noted on my visit to the doll shop. I took her hands. She let them rest passively in mine. They were very cold. I said to her gently, reassuringly, "My child, no one is going to hurt you. Rest and relax. Sink back in the chair. I only want to help you. Sleep if you wish. Sleep." She did not seem to hear, still regarding me with that vague gaze. I released her hands. I took my own chair, facing her, and set the little mirrors revolving. Her eyes turned to them at once, rested upon them, fascinated. I watched her body relax. She sank back in her chair. Her eyelids began to droop. "Sleep," I said softly. "Here none can harm you. While you sleep, none can harm you. Sleep, sleep." Her eyes closed. She sighed. I said, "You are asleep. You will not awaken until I bid you. You cannot awaken until I bid you." She repeated in a murmuring, childish voice, "I am asleep. I cannot awaken until you bid me." I stopped the whirling mirrors. I said to her, "There are some questions I am going to ask you. You will listen, and you will answer me truthfully. You cannot answer them except truthfully. You know that." She echoed, still in that faint, childish voice, "I must answer you truthfully. I know that." I could not refrain from darting a glance of triumph at Riccori and McCann. Riccori was crossing himself, staring at me with wide eyes, in which were both doubt and awe. I knew he was thinking that I, too, knew witchcraft. McCann sat chewing nervously and staring at the girl. I began my questions, choosing at first those least likely to disturb. I asked, "Are you truly Madame Mandalip's niece?" "No." "Who are you, then?" "I do not know." "When did you join her? And why?" 20 years ago. I was in a creche, a foundling asylum at Vienna. She took me from it. She taught me to call her my aunt, but she is not." "Where have you lived since then?" "In Berlin, in Paris, then London, Prague, Warsaw." "Did Madame Mandalip make her dolls in each of these places?" She did not answer. She shuddered. Her eyelids began to tremble. "Sleep. Remember, you cannot awaken until I bid you. Sleep. Answer me." She whispered, "Yes. Sleep. Be at ease. Nothing is going to harm you." Her disquietude had again become marked, and I veered for a moment from the subject of the dolls. "Where was Madame Mandalip born?" "I do not know." "How old is she?" "I do not know. I have asked her, and she has laughed and said that time is nothing to her. I was 5 years old when she took me. She looked then just as she does now." "Has she any accomplices? I mean, are there others who make the dolls?" "One. She taught him. He was her lover in Prague." "Her lover?" I exclaimed incredulously. The image of the immense gross body, the great breasts, the heavy horse-like face of the doll-maker rising before my eyes. She said, "I know what you are thinking, but she has another body. She wears it when she pleases. It is a beautiful body. It belongs to her eyes, her hands, her voice. When she wears that body, she is beautiful. She is terrifyingly beautiful. I've seen her wear it many times. Another body, an illusion, of course, like the enchanted room Walters had described, in which I had glimpsed when breaking from the hypnotic web in which she had enmeshed me. A picture drawn by the doll-maker's mind in the mind of the girl. I dismissed that and drove to the heart of the matter. She kills by two methods, does she not? By the salve and by the dolls? Yes, by the unguent and the dolls. How many has she killed by the unguent in New York? She answered indirectly. She has made 14 dolls since we came here. So there were other cases that had not been reported to me. I asked, and how many have the dolls killed? 20. I heard Riccori curse and shot him a warning look. He was leaning forward, white and tense. McCann had stopped his chewing. How does she make the dolls? I do not know. Do you know how she prepares the unguent? No. She does that secretly. What is it that activates the dolls? You mean makes them alive? Yes. Something from the dead. Again I heard Riccori cursing softly. I said, if you do not know how the dolls are made, you must know what is necessary to make them alive. What is it? She did not answer. You must answer me. You must obey me. Speak. She said, your question is not clear. I have told you that something of the dead makes them alive. What else is it you would know? Begin from where one who poses for a doll first meets Madame Mandalip to the last step when the doll, as you put it, becomes alive. She spoke dreamily. She has said one must come to her of his own will. He must consent of his own volition, without coercion, to let her make the doll. That he does not know to what he is consenting matters nothing. She must begin the first model immediately, before she completes the second, the doll that is to live. She must find opportunity to apply the unguent. She has said of this unguent that it liberates one of those who dwell within the mind, and that this one must come to her and enter the doll. She has said that this one is not the sole tenant of the mind, but with the others she has no concern, nor does she select all of those who come before her. How she knows those with whom she can deal, on what there is about them which makes her select them, I do not know. She makes the second doll. At the instant of its completion, he who has posed for it begins to die. When he is dead, the doll lives. It obeys her, as they all obey her. She paused, then said musingly, all except one. And that one? She who was your nurse. She will not obey. My aunt torments her, punishes her. Still she cannot control her. I brought the little nurse here last night with another doll to kill the man my aunt cursed. The nurse came, but she fought the other doll and saved the man. It is something my aunt cannot understand. It perplexes her, and it gives me hope. Her voice trailed away. Then suddenly, with energy, she said, you must make haste. I should be back with the dolls. Soon she will be searching for me. I must go, or she will come for me. And then, if she finds me here, she will kill me. I said, you brought the dolls to kill me. Of course. Where are the dolls now? She answered. They were coming back to me. Your men caught me before they could reach me. They will go home. The dolls travel quickly when they must. It is more difficult without me, that is all. But they will return to her. Why do the dolls kill? To please her. I said, the knotted cord, what part does it play? I do not know, but she says. Then suddenly, Desperately, like a frightened child, she whispered, "She is searching for me. Her eyes are looking for me. Her hands are groping. She sees me. Hide me. Oh, hide me from her, quick!" I said, "Sleep more deeply. Go down, down, deep, deeper, still into sleep. Now she cannot find you. Now you are hidden from her." "I am deep in sleep. She has lost me. I'm hidden, but she is hovering over me. She is still searching." Riccori and McCann had left their chairs and were beside me. Riccori asked, "You believe the witch is after her?" "No," I answered. "But this is not an unexpected development. The girl has been under the woman's control so long and so completely that the reaction is natural. It may be the result of suggestion, or it may be the reasoning of her own subconsciousness. She's been breaking commands. She has been threatened with punishment if she should." The girl screamed, agonized. "She sees me. She has found me. Her hands are reaching out to me. Sleep. Sleep deeper still. She cannot hurt you. Again she has lost you." The girl did not answer, but a faint moaning was audible deep in her throat. McCann swore huskily. "Christ, can't you help her?" Riccori, eyes unnaturally bright in a chalky face, said, "Let her die. It will save us trouble." I said to the girl sternly, "Listen to me and obey. I am going to count 5. When I come to 5, awaken. Awaken at once. You will come up from sleep so swiftly that she cannot catch you. Obey." I counted, slowly, since to have awakened her at once would, in all likelihood, have brought her to the death which her distorted mind told her was threatened by the doll-maker. 1, 2, 3... An appalling scream came from the girl, and then, "She's caught me. Her hands are around my heart." Her body bent. A spasm ran through her. Her body relaxed and sank limply in the chair. Her eyes opened, stared blankly. Her jaw dropped. I ripped open her bodice, set my stethoscope to her heart. It was still. And then from the dead throat issued a voice, organ-toned, sweet, laden with menace and contempt. You fools! The voice of Madame Mandalip. Curiously enough, Riccori was the least affected of the three of us. My own flesh had crept. McCann, although he had never heard the doll-maker's voice, was greatly shaken. And it was Riccori who broke the silence. "You're sure the girl is dead?" "There is no possible doubt of it, Riccori." He nodded to McCann. "Carry her down to the car." "What are you going to do?" He answered, "Kill the witch." He quoted with satiric unctuousness. "In death they shall not be divided," he said passionately. "And in hell they shall burn together forever." He looked at me sharply. "You do not approve of this, Dr. Lowell?" "Riccori, I don't know. I honestly do not know. Today I would have killed her with my own hands, but now the rage is spent. What you have threatened is against all my instincts, all my habits of thought, all my convictions of how justice should be administered. It seems to me murder." "You heard the girl. 20 in this city alone killed by the dolls, and 14 dolls. 14 who died as Peters did." "But Riccori, no court could consider allegations under hypnosis as evidence. It may be true, it may not be. The girl was abnormal. What she told might be only her imaginings. Without supporting evidence, no court on earth could accept it as a basis for action." No, earthly court. Do you believe it was truth?" I could not answer, for deep within me I felt it was truth. He said, "Precisely, Dr. Lowell. You have answered me.
You know as I know that the girl did speak the truth. You know as I know that our law cannot punish the witch. That is why I must kill her. In doing that, I, Riccori, am no murderer. No, I am God's executioner.
He waited for me to speak. Again, I could not answer.
McCann.
He pointed to the girl.
Do as I told you. Then return.
And when McCann had gone out with the frail body in his arms, Riccori said,
Dr. Lowell, you must go with me to witness this execution.
I recoiled at that. I said, Riccori, I can't. I'm utterly weary, in body and mind. I've gone through too much today. I'm broken with grief.
You must go. If we have to carry you, gagged as the girl was, and bound, I will tell you why. You are at war with yourself. Alone, it is possible your scientific doubts might conquer, that you would attempt to halt me before I have done what I swear by Christ, His Holy Mother, and the saints I shall do. You might yield to weariness and place the whole matter before the police. I will not take that risk. I have affection for you, Dr. Lowell, deep affection. But I tell you that if my own mother tried to stop me in this, I would sweep her aside as ruthlessly as I shall you.
I said, I will go with you.
Then tell the nurse to bring me my clothing. Until all is over, we remain together. I'm taking no more chances.
I took up the telephone and gave the necessary order. McCann returned, and Riccori said to him,
When I'm clothed, we go to the doll shop. Who is in the car with Tony?
Larson and Cartello.
Good. It may be that the witch knows we are coming. It may be that she has listened through the girl's dead ears as she spoke from her dead throat. No matter. We shall assume that she did not. Are there bars on the door?
McCann said,
Boss, I ain't been in the shop. I don't know. There's a glass panel. If there's bars, we can work 'em. Tony'll get the tools while you put on your clothes.
Dr. Lowell.
Riccori turned on me.
Will you give me your word that you will not change your mind about going with me, nor attempt to interfere in what I'm going to do?
I give you my word, Riccori.
McCann, you need not come back. Wait for us in the car.
Riccori was soon dressed. As I walked with him out of my house, a clock struck 1. I remembered that this strange adventure had begun weeks ago at that very hour. I rode in the back of the car with Riccori, the dead girl between us. On the middle seats were Larson and Cartello, the former a stolid Swede, the latter a wiry little Italian. The man named Tony drove, McCann beside him. We swung down the avenue, and in about half an hour were on Lower Broadway. As we drew near the street of the doll-maker, we went less quickly. The sky was overcast, cold wind blowing off the bay. I shivered, but not with cold. We came to the corner of the doll-maker's street. For several blocks we had met no one, seen no one. It was as though we were passing through a city of the dead. Equally deserted was the street of the doll-maker. Riccori said to Tony,
Draw up opposite the doll shop. We'll get out. Then go down to the corner. Wait for us there.
My heart was beating uncomfortably. There was a quality of blackness in the night that seemed to swallow up the glow from the street lamps. There was no light in the doll-maker's shop, and in the old-fashioned doorway, set level with the street, the shadows clustered. The wind whined, and I could hear the beating of waves on the battery wall. I wondered whether I would be able to go through that doorway, or whether the inhibition the doll-maker had put upon me still held me. McCann slipped out of the car, carrying the girl's body. He propped her, sitting in the doorway's shadows. Riccori and I, Larson and Cartello followed. The car rolled off, and again I felt the sense of nightmare unreality which had clung to me so often since I had first set my feet on this strange path to the doll-maker. The little Italian was smearing the glass of the door with some gummy material. In the center of it he fixed a small vacuum cup of rubber. He took a tool from his pocket and drew with it a foot-wide circle on the glass. The point of the tool cut into the glass as though it had been wax. Holding the vacuum cup in one hand, he tapped the glass lightly with a rubber-tipped hammer. The circle of glass came away in his hand. All had been done without the least sound. He reached through the hole and fumbled about noiselessly for a few moments. There was a faint click. The door swung open. McCann picked up the dead girl. We went, silent as phantoms, into the doll shop. The little Italian set the circle of glass back in its place. I could see dimly the door that opened into the corridor leading to that evil room at the rear. The little Italian tried the knob. The door was locked. He worked for a few seconds, and the door swung open. Riccori leading, McCann behind him with the girl. We passed like shadows through the corridor and paused at the further door. The door swung open before the little Italian could touch it. We heard the voice of the doll maker.
Enter, gentlemen. It was thoughtful of you to bring me back my dear niece. I would have met you at my outer door, but I am an old woman, and timid.
McCann whispered, "One side, boss." He shifted the body of the girl to his left arm, and holding her like a shield, pistol drawn, began to edge by Riccori. Riccori thrust him away. His own automatic leveled. He stepped over the threshold. I followed McCann, the two gunmen at my back. I took a swift glance around the room. The doll-maker sat at her table, sewing. She was serene, apparently untroubled. Her long white fingers danced to the rhythm of her stitches. She did not look up at us. There were coals burning in the fireplace. The room was very warm, and there was a strong aromatic odor, unfamiliar to me. I looked toward the cabinets of the dolls. Every cabinet was open. Dolls stood within them, row upon row, staring down at us with eyes green and blue, gray and black, lifelike as though they were midgets on exhibition in some grotesque peep show. There must have been hundreds of them. Some were dressed as we in America dress, some as Germans do, some as the Spanish, the French, the English. Others were in costumes I did not recognize. A ballerina and a blacksmith with his hammer raised, a French chevalier and a German student, broadsword in hand, livid scars upon his face, an Apache with knife in hand, drug madness on his yellow face, and next to him a vicious-mouthed woman of the streets, and next to her a jockey, the loot of the doll-maker from a dozen lands. The dolls seemed to be poised to leap, to flow down upon us, overwhelm us. I steadied my thoughts. I forced myself to meet that battery of living dolls' eyes as though they were but lifeless dolls. It was an empty cabinet. Another and another. 5 cabinets without dolls. The 4 dolls I had watched march upon me in the paralysis of the green glow were not there, nor was Walter's. I wrenched my gaze away from the tears of the watching dolls. I looked again at the doll-maker, still placidly sewing, as though she were alone, as though she were unaware of us, as though Riccori's pistol were not pointed at her heart, sewing, singing softly. The Walters doll was on the table before her. It lay prone on its back. Its tiny hands were fettered at the wrists with twisted cords of the ashen hair. They were bound round and round, and the fettered hands clutched the hilt of a dagger pin. Long in the telling, but brief in the seeing, a few seconds in time as we measure it. The doll-maker's absorption in her sewing, her utter indifference to us, silence, made a screen between us and her, an ever-thickening though invisible barrier. The pungent aromatic fragrance grew stronger. McCann dropped the body of the girl on the floor. He tried to speak. Once. Twice. At the third attempt he succeeded. He said to Riccori, hoarsely, in strangled voice,
"Kill her, or I will
Riccori did not move. He stood rigid, automatic pointed at the doll-maker's heart, eyes fixed on her dancing hands. He did not seem to hear McCann, or if he heard, he did not heed. The doll-maker's song went on. It was like the hum of bees. It was a sweet droning. It garnered sleep as the bees garner honey. Sleep. Sleep. Riccori shifted the grip upon his gun. He sprang forward. He swung the butt of the pistol down upon a wrist of the doll-maker. The hand dropped. The fingers of that hand writhed. Hideously, the long white fingers writhed and twisted like serpents whose backs have been broken. Riccori raised the gun for a second blow. Before he could fall, the doll-maker had leaped to her feet, overturning her chair. A whispering ran over the cabinets like a thin veil of sound. The doll seemed to bend, to lean forward. The doll-maker's eyes were on us now. They seemed to take in each and all of us at once, and they were like flaming black suns in which danced tiny crimson flames. Her will swept out and overwhelmed us. It was like a wave, tangible. I felt it strike me as though it were a material thing. A numbness began to creep through me. I saw the hand of Riccori that clutched the pistol twitch and whiten. I knew that same numbness was gripping him as it gripped McCann and the others. Once more, the doll-maker had trapped us. I whispered, "Don't look at her, Riccori. Don't look in her eyes." With a tearing effort, I wrested my own away from those flaming black ones. They fell upon the Walters doll. Stiffly, I reached to take it up. Why, I did not know. The doll-maker was quicker than I. She snatched up the doll with her uninjured hand and held it to her breast. She cried in a voice whose vibrant sweetness ran through every nerve, augmenting the creeping lethargy.
"You will not look at me. You will not look at me. Fools! You can do nothing else."
Then began that strange, that utterly strange episode that was the beginning of the end. The aromatic fragrance seemed to pulse, throb, grow stronger. Something like a sparkling mist whirled out of nothingness and covered the doll-maker, veiling the horse-like face, the ponderous body. Only her eyes shone through that mist. The mist cleared away. Before us stood a woman of breathtaking beauty, tall and slender and exquisite, naked. Her hair, black and silken fine, half clothed her to her knees. Through it the pale golden flesh gleamed. Only the eyes, the hands, the doll still clasped to one of the round, high breasts told who she was. Riccori's automatic dropped from his hand. I heard the weapons of the others fall to the floor. I knew they stood rigid as I, stunned by that incredible transformation, and helpless in the grip of the power streaming from the doll-maker. She pointed to Riccori and laughed.
"You would kill me? Me? Pick up your weapon, Riccori, and try."
Riccori's body bent slowly. I could see him only indirectly, for my eyes could not leave the woman's. I knew that his could not. That fastened to them. His eyes were turning upward as he bent. I sensed rather than saw that his groping hand had touched his pistol, that he was trying to lift it. I heard him groan. The doll-maker laughed again.
"Enough, Riccori. You cannot."
Riccori's body straightened with a snap, as though a hand had clutched his chin and thrust him up. There was a rustling behind me, a patter of little feet, the scurrying of small bodies past me. At the feet of the woman were 4 mannequins, the 4 who had marched upon me in the green glow. Banker doll, spinster doll, the acrobat, the trapeze performer. They stood, the 4 of them, ranged in front of her, glaring at us. In the hand of each was a dagger pin, points thrust at us like tiny swords. And once more, the laughter of the woman filled the room. She spoke caressingly.
No, no, my little ones. I do not need you.
She pointed to me.
You know this body of mine is but an illusion, do you not? Speak!
Yes.
And these at my feet, and all my little ones are but illusions?
I said, I do not know that.
You know too much, and you know too little. Therefore, you must die, my too wise and too foolish doctor. And Riccori too must die, because he knows too much, and you others, you too must die, but not at the hands of my little people, not here. No. At your home, my good doctor, you shall go there silently, speaking neither among yourselves nor to any others on your way. And when there, you will turn upon yourselves, slaying each other, rending yourselves like wolves, like...
She staggered back a step, reeling. I saw, or thought I saw, the doll of Walters writhe. Then, swift as a striking snake, it raised its bound hands and thrust the dagger pin through the doll-maker's throat, twisted it savagely, and thrust again, stabbing the golden throat of the woman precisely where that other doll had stabbed Braille. And as Braille had screamed, so now screamed the doll-maker, dreadfully, agonizedly. She tore the doll from her breast. She hurled it from her. The doll hurtled toward the fireplace, rolled, and touched the glowing coals. There was a flash of brilliant flame, a wave of that same intense heat I had felt when the match of McCann had struck the Peters doll. And instantly, at the touch of that heat, the dolls at the woman's feet vanished. From them arose swiftly a pillar of that same brilliant flame. It coiled, it wrapped itself around the doll-maker, from feet to head. I saw the shape of beauty melt away. In its place was the horse-like face, the immense body of Madame Mandalip, eyes seared and blind, the long white hands clutching at her torn throat, no longer white, but crimson with her blood. Thus for an instant she stood, then toppled to the floor. And at that instant of her fall, the spell that held us broke. Riccori leaned toward the huddled hulk that had been the doll-maker. He spat upon it. He shouted, exultantly,
Burn, witch! Burn!
He pushed me to the door, pointing toward the tears of the watching dolls that strangely now seemed lifeless, only dolls. Fire was leaping to them from draperies and curtains. Fire was leaping at them as though it was some vengeful spirit of cleansing flame. We rushed through the door, the corridor, out into the shop. Through the corridor and into the shop, the flames poured after us. We ran into the street. Riccori cried,
Quick, to the car!
Suddenly the street was red with the light of the flames. I heard windows opening and shouts of warning and alarm. We swung into the waiting car, and it leapt away. A reading from Abraham Merritt's Burn, Witch, Burn. Edward E. French speaking. The copyright exists on all recordings by Edward E. French. Inquiries are welcome at this hotmail address, edwardfrench06@hotmail.com. That's edwardfrench06@hotmail.com. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. www.youtube.com/FrenchEdward06. Thanks for listening.